Hey everyone, I'm Bill. I'm with Cali Moto TV. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Buttonwillow Raceway, where today we have two bikes that you guys have asked for a side-by-side comparison. And I thought what better way to do it than here at Buttonwillow Raceway with the Aprilia track day. I know it's a little weird that we've got a Ducati here, but we have both the Italians manufacturers, Aprilia and Ducati are both here. We do have the Street Fighter and the Tuono. Maybe I'll do a little side-by-side with them later, but today we're going to do a little side-by-side with the RS 660 and the Ducati V2. Now, some of you guys are going to say it's not a fair comparison, and I agree, because we're dealing with 155 claimed horsepower on the V2, and over here on the Aprilia RS 660 we have 100 claimed horsepower. So we are lacking horsepower, but are we lacking handling? Now, the suspension on the V2 is definitely better suspension. The rear end of the suspension on the RS 660 isn't quite as good, but the big benefit we have for the RS 660 over the V2 is how narrow the wheelbase is and how light this is. So this is definitely going to be turning a little bit faster than the Ducati V2, but let's get them both out on track. Let's see how we like them both, and let's give you a little side-by-side comparison with the 2021 Ducati V2 and the 2021 Aprilia RS 660. All right, well, before I forget the numbers, because I'll surely forget them while I'm out there, the wheelbase difference on here is 3 inches, 53.9 and 56.6 is the wheelbase difference. So a few inches, which I think is going to make a big difference in the turning personally. So Bogdan is going to go ahead and continue to ride that. I'm going to go out on the RS 660 and give you guys my now I've ridden the V2. I've ridden it on track a couple times, so I'm going to be able to give you guys somewhat of a fair, unbiased. It's hard to be unbiased because we own them both and we love them both. Bogdan loves that bike and I love this bike. So, but we've had some quality time on both of these bikes, so it's really going to be a pretty decent comparison. So let's get out on this. I hope you guys have already seen my first video, but if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and then ring that bell notification. Bell notification is going to give you more notifications of content coming out on the RS 660. I think we are producing the most content on the RS 660 on YouTube right now. So if you guys are interested in the RS 660, first of all, I will tell you this. It's an amazing bike. I absolutely love it. I don't think that if you guys are on the fence about this bike, I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't get the bike personally. So let's go ahead and wait for the track to clear. Take a look at these two beautiful bikes. Oh, just absolutely love them both. Love them both, but let's get out there and let's see what this RS 660 will do. All right, you guys, well, let's get the standard heat in the tires, acceleration and brake, and then of course we take it easy. So this will give me a little bit of time to talk to you guys about some specs and what I've already found that I like about this bike. So, you know, you're looking at 100 wheel or claimed crank horsepower, 87 wheel horsepower. So we're down on horsepower over the Ducati V2. I think riding position, I like both of them for the riding position. I think the RS 660 is a little bit more upright. It is a little bit more of a somewhat of a relaxed commuter, so to speak. But both of them, you have the 6-axis IMU. You have a throttle by wire, ABS, traction control, engine brake control, wheelie control. Yep. Kind of saw that coming. So both of these bikes are packed with electronics. and some very good electronics. I will say both the bikes are very nice, electronic wise. Now this bike really's got some go up in the top end. You get above the 7,000 RPMs and this thing definitely takes off. Now we do have velocity stacks on this with an air filter, so it's helping a little bit. But our biggest downfall that I honestly, it hasn't bugged me that much, is the suspension. The suspension actually handles pretty well, honestly. So I haven't had a big gripe with this, especially after we've had Dave Moss put his hands on it twice now. We did have him retune it today and he had to stiffen it back up. But remember, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2", 240 pounds with gear on. So there's a little bit of suspension compression on this bike. But yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Now on the street, you know, I really like this bike. I'm liking this bike more and more on the track. So here out on the track, this thing is just, this might end up being a dedicated track bike because it feels so good. That wheelbase, I would say probably my only, I don't want to say gripe because I think the brakes on the V2 are a little bit worse. But I did notice out of the first session, I was getting quite a bit of brake fade on this. So I think that an RCS 17 might be coming. Now both the bikes don't have steering dampers. And I noticed coming over Phil Hill's the back hill that we just came off of. And I noticed that the front moves around just a little bit. Now we're both running 180 tires. I'm on the stock Pirelli tires at a 180/55. We have switched Bogna's tires to a 180/60 Power RS, which the Power RSs I like more personally. Forgot to shift down there. But I'm just at home on this bike. I feel really good on this bike. Now mind you guys, this is my second session. All right, third session, because I did get one session at Coda, which was a very kind of a bad session. Second session here, and I don't know. I'm definitely not FedEx Expressing it, but there's a little mail hauling going on. I couldn't get it to shift. So I'm having problems shifting it down when I'm like kind of in the higher revs. I don't know. I do have spider rear sets, so that may be the issue, but so all in all, you know, if you guys are looking at this bike, the two major pluses to this bike over the V2 is a huge price difference, coming to under $12,000 for the RS or the RS 660, and you're at about the $17,000 range for the Ducati. Now, what's a little puzzling is that this bike comes in more in line with the Ducati Super Sport non-S, but the price of the non-S is like, honestly, you should be buying a V2. So if I can't wait to get on the Super Sport, and we'll have a Super Sport RS 660 comparison, but you know, you can't compare price wise. So yeah, and then the wheelbase difference, got a little better brakes, I think, on this one over the Ducati, at least in the Master. But that's where this bike is really going to shine. But remember, we're 300 cc's smaller than the Ducati, and my goal personally on the RS 660 is to reach that 100 wheel horsepower, which I think is going to be very, very, very achievable. So let me give you guys a bonus lap. Also, stay tuned because we have a bunch of new Aprilia Tuono 660, so stay tuned. We'll be on one of those later today. Sorry, guys. Fell into neutral. Be careful. You know, we talk a lot about comparing which is a better comparison. We also own a 2020 Ducati Street Fighter, and we own a 2019 Tuono factory. And a lot of people have comparisons between those two. And I'll say this, I will tell anybody that, you know, the rideability of the Street Fighter, I think, is just more refined. I think the Ducati is more refined. But if you were on a budget, hands down, the Tuono factory is the better bike. And some of you guys will, you know, some of you guys will gripe about it in the comment section, but I personally really enjoy the Street Fighter. Let's see if I can get past these guys. Sorry, sometimes I just gotta get that moment of brilliance and just get past the non-brilliance and get back in the groove. So, so pricing is where this thing dominates, right? I know you guys are gonna be in the comment section telling me how much better the V2 is, but let's talk about price. There's no way that V2 is better for the money. Same thing I'll say about the Tuono factory. There's no way that the Tuono factory isn't a better bike for the money than the Street Fighter. Same thing here. So, ooh. Got off kilter there. A little squirrel, don't do it. There are a bunch of little brown squirrels out here. So we're gonna wrap this up. This is gonna be our final lap. And then we'll hop on that V2 later today. Yeah, this thing, once it gets to that $7,000 mark, 7,000 RPMs, money, turbo kicks on. Lovely riding with you guys here at Buttonwillow at the Aprilia event for the RS 660 versus the V2. We're calling this one, guys, and we'll call it a success. Very, very good run. Very happy with that. I hope you guys enjoyed the ride and a little bit of insight. If you guys want more information about the Aprilia RS 660, we have a folder full of videos, from changing your oil to changing your rear sets to installing velocity stacks to just everything. We've got it all. So make sure you hit that folder up, but do the normal. Hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, ring the bell notification. We're back at home camp. Let's take a look at the tires. Let's see, because they never lie. How hard were we riding? We were riding so hard. My Wild Bill sticker's coming off. Front tire looks so good. The rear tire looks so good. We're running cold this morning, 22-28, and it looks amazing. So thank you guys for sticking around. So stay tuned because we're hopping on the V2 next, and we'll give you guys a little insight on what I think on the V2. All right, guys, well, here we are with the final session of the day, and we're gonna finish it off on the old Ducati V2. And rocking Bogna's new Bonamici rear sets. So I've got to remember GP shift. So good day on the RS 660. I put some miles on that thing today, and quite impressed with it, Now, I've come up to a couple scenarios that you know, I came up, if you guys didn't see the Victor run, we were running with a 959, and I just, down the straights, I just couldn't keep them. So but this thing has got definitely a bit more legs, 55 more horsepower. But we've got a bunch more weight. I think 30 pounds more of weight. And I think we have 6 inches, maybe 3, of longer wheelbase on the V2. Get some heat in the tires for you guys. So, a much different feeling bike now that I've got the rear sets on these things. It's definitely pushed me as a rider up. But that's basically because we have it set more for Bogna. This is her bike, and we don't touch Bogna's bike. We ride her bike the way she rides her bike, and that's that. But, yeah, the V2, it's an amazing bike, and the suspension is much more on point. I think after riding the Aprilia today, the electronics are much more on point. There were a few disappointments that I had with the Aprilia electronics, one being the ABS didn't work coming into this corner one time. I almost endoed it, and the wheelie control on the Tuono didn't work, and well, I almost 12 o'clocked that baby. Well, I guess I did 12 o'clock it, but so we are talking 2 different bikes. And we're talking 2 different price points, right? So I say it very, very much on the Tuono versus the Street Fighter. For the money, the Tuono's the better bike, hands down. If you're on a budget, the Tuono is a much better bike. But if you guys are looking for a more refined bike, more refined electronics, way better suspension, stock, we're talking stock for stock, this is the better bike, right? Now the V2 obviously just has everything is checked plus on the V2 with all the boxes. But when you get into the drivability and the turnability into this thing, compared to the RS 660. The RS 660 just turns so much faster. And I don't know, I feel like I'm like, this is more of a sport bike than the RS 660. The RS 660 today felt super comfy. And this feels a lot more like a sport bike. And that's where I think that the Super Sport is going to come into play, because the Super Sport is more of that comfy bike, more like the Tuono RS, or excuse me, the RS 660, where this is more like if Aprilia came out with, like, you know, a 900cc twin or a V4 or something like that. I could see Aprilia doing something like that to fill that 660 to the 1100 gap. Give us a baby RS V4, like a, you know, a 900 RS V4 9. Then I think we're talking more in line with this bike. But you guys have just asked for what my thoughts are between these two bikes, and I really feel, although I really put the RS 660 in this class, but, you know, riding them back to back today, the V2 is definitely much more of a sport bike. And the RS 660 is definitely more relaxed. I think if we were to put clip-ons down that RS 660, I think now we're talking. But yeah, speaking of RS 660, gentleman in front of us on one of the Aprilia demos. Sorry, babe. So here you go. I think he could have got me on the brakes, because I think the brakes are better on that thing. But the drive out of this corner, yeah, I should have been in third, second. But there you go. That's the big, you know, the acceleration, that 55 horsepower definitely takes this thing to a different level. But I love both these bikes. I mean, really, you know, we own both these bikes because we really love both these bikes. Wagner's just really fallen in love with this thing. And yeah, I mean, it's a blast to be able to steal it from her at least one session, be able to put down a few laps for you. And I'll say this is not my best hour. We're on the 4 o'clock hour, and I've literally ridden 8 sessions today on 5 different bikes. I don't think I've ever ridden this much on a track day, ever. But it's been a blast. It's been a blast. So I'll give you guys a minute to enjoy the sweet V2. Not much sounds out of it, but it's got a little twin verbal. See if I can get a drive on him. Sir. I think that's my day. I hope you guys enjoyed the day. It's been wonderful. Yeah, I think I'll wrap it up. Hang behind this guy for a quick sec. Well, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the V2 versus the RS660. Not much of a comparison, but it's a good comparison. I mean, you know, it's hard to put these in the same category as the Tuono 660 or the Tuono factory and the Ducati Street Fighter, because these two bikes belong in a face-off, right? These two bikes really don't belong too much in a face-off, but needless to say, it's been a blast of a day, and there's a good little ride on this. Got one little session, working the tires pretty well. Bogda did most of the work for me, but so V2 RS660. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Shoot me a comment. Let me know if you guys have some questions on the Panigale V2. Bogna is fluent in that language. If you guys have any questions in the RS660, well, I'm fluent in that language. So go ahead and comment down below. But most of all, smash the like button for us, please. Hit the subscribe button and ring that bell notification. That'll notify you of future content on this beautiful collection of motorcycles. Plus, we got more in the garage. The RS50, all the parts are almost here, so we're hitting up that. Love it. Thank you guys for sticking around and supporting the channel, and we'll see you guys next video. Bye, guys.